Quiet new girl destroys school bullies with martial arts to defend disabled student, emotional story. A story by Heartfelt Tales. The lunch tray flew through the air in slow motion, its contents, mashed potatoes, green beans, and chocolate pudding, splattering across the cafeteria floor like a Jackson Pollock painting of humiliation. 16-year-old Marcus Chen sat frozen in his wheelchair, sauce dripping from his glasses, while three towering figures loomed over him, their laughter echoing through the suddenly silent cafeteria. What happened next would become legend at Roosevelt High School, but it started with a girl named Luna Rodriguez who had been in the building for exactly 4 hours and 23 minutes. Asterisk if this story moves you, please hit that like button and let us know in the comments what you think. And don't forget to subscribe to Heartfelt Tales for more inspiring stories like this one, asterisk. Luna had walked through the doors of Roosevelt High that morning carrying more than just a backpack full of new school supplies. She carried the weight of 7 different schools in 4 years, each move prompted by her father's military assignments. She carried the invisible scars of being the perpetual outsider, the girl who learned to read rooms faster than she read textbooks. And she carried something else, 12 years of disciplined training in Taekwondo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, skills her father insisted she learn not for aggression, but for the confidence that comes from knowing you can protect yourself and others. The first 3 periods had passed unremarkably. Luna observed, as she always did, mapping the social landscape of her new environment. She noticed the usual hierarchies, the popular kids who owned the center of every room, the athletes with their easy confidence, the artists clustered in corners with paint-stained fingers, and the invisible ones who moved through hallways like ghosts. She also noticed something that made her stomach tighten, the predatory behavior of 3 boys who seemed to take pleasure in making others uncomfortable. Jake Morrison, the ringleader, was a senior whose size and swagger had apparently convinced him he owned the school. His sidekicks, Tyler and Brandon, followed his lead with the desperate loyalty of those who feared becoming targets themselves. Luna watched them knock books from freshmen' hands, make crude comments to girls walking by, and generally spread misery wherever they went. But it was at lunch when their cruelty reached a level that Luna couldn't ignore. Marcus Chen had been navigating Roosevelt High's social minefield for 3 years. Born with spina bifida, he moved through the world in a wheelchair, but his sharp wit and kind nature had earned him a small circle of genuine friends. He was used to stares, used to thoughtless comments, even used to occasional pranks. But Jake Morrison's crew had elevated harassment to an art form, and Marcus had become their favorite canvas. "Hey, Wheels!" Jake's voice boomed across the cafeteria as Marcus maneuvered his wheelchair toward an empty table. "Looks like someone's in the wrong lane. This is the cafeteria, not the parking lot." The joke wasn't even clever, but Tyler and Brandon laughed like it was comedy gold. Marcus kept moving, hoping to reach his friends before things escalated. He almost made it. That's when Jake decided to demonstrate his dominance by grabbing Marcus's lunch tray and launching it into the air. The crash when it hit the floor was nothing compared to the crash of Marcus's dignity. Chocolate pudding stained his favorite NASA t-shirt, and mashed potatoes clung to his dark hair like snow. The cafeteria fell silent, 100 pairs of eyes watching to see what would happen next. Luna was already moving. She crossed the cafeteria with the fluid grace of someone comfortable in her own skin, her sneakers silent on the linoleum floor. She didn't run, didn't shout, didn't telegraph her intentions. She simply appeared beside Marcus's wheelchair like a guardian angel in jeans and a faded band t-shirt. "You okay?" she asked Marcus quietly, her voice gentle but her eyes never leaving Jake's face. "I'm fine," Marcus mumbled, trying to wipe pudding from his glasses with shaking hands. "It's nothing." "It's not nothing," Luna said, finally turning her full attention to the 3 bullies. "And you're going to apologize." Jake looked at this small girl, Luna barely reached his shoulder, and laughed so hard he snorted. "Are you serious right now? Who do you think you are, new girl?" "I'm someone who doesn't like bullies," Luna replied evenly. "And I'm someone giving you one chance to do the right thing." "Or what?" Tyler chimed in, emboldened by Jake's laughter. You'll tell the principal? Cry to your mommy? The crowd pressed closer, phones appearing as students sensed drama. Luna felt the familiar calm settle over her, the same focused tranquility she experienced in the dojo. Her father's voice echoed in her mind, strength isn't about fighting, Mija. It's about having the power to choose not to fight, and the wisdom to know when that choice isn't available. I'll give you 3 seconds to apologize and help clean this up, Luna said, her voice steady as steel. 1. Jake stepped closer, using his size to intimidate. Listen, little girl. 2. You need to learn your place around here. 3. What happened next took exactly 4 seconds and would be replayed on social media for weeks to come. Jake reached out to shove Luna, a casual act of violence he'd performed dozens of times before. But his hand never made contact. Luna stepped into his space, redirected his momentum with a simple Aikido technique, and used his own force to send him stumbling backward into a trash can. The crash echoed through the cafeteria like thunder. Tyler, surprised but determined to save face, rushed forward throwing a wild punch. Luna ducked under it effortlessly, swept his legs, and had him on the ground in a controlled hold before he even realized what had happened. She applied just enough pressure to the joint lock to make her point without causing injury. Brandon, the smartest of the 3, raised his hands and backed away. I'm good. I'm good. Luna stood up, brushing off her hands like she'd just finished a routine warm-up. The cafeteria remained dead silent except for Jake's groaning as he extracted himself from the trash can and Tyler's whimpering as he tried to regain his composure. Now, Luna said conversationally, let's try this again. Marcus is sitting there covered in food that you threw at him. What do you think the right thing to do would be? Jake's face burned red with humiliation and rage, but something in Luna's calm confidence warned him against escalating further. Around them, students held their breath, waiting to see if his pride would override his survival instincts. I'm sorry, he muttered, the words dragged from him like splinters. Louder, Luna said pleasantly. And to him, not me. Jake looked at Marcus, who was watching the entire scene with wide eyes. I'm sorry, Marcus. That wasn't cool. And you're going to help clean this up, Luna continued, and you're going to make sure this never happens again. To Marcus or anyone else. The next few minutes were surreal. Jake Morrison, the terror of Roosevelt High, found himself on his hands and knees picking up green beans while the girl who'd been at the school for less than half a day supervised. Tyler helped mop up pudding while muttering apologies. Brandon, eager to distance himself from his fallen comrades, had already disappeared. As the crowd dispersed and normal cafeteria noise resumed, Marcus looked up at Luna with something approaching awe. Thank you, he said quietly. You didn't have to do that. Luna knelt down beside his wheelchair, meeting his eyes at the same level. Yes, I did. Nobody deserves to be treated like that. Nobody. Where did you learn to do that? Marcus asked, gesturing at the scene that had just unfolded. My dad started me in martial arts when I was 4, Luna explained. He said it wasn't about learning to fight. It was about learning to stand up. For yourself and for others who can't. Over the following weeks, Luna discovered that her intervention had ripple effects she hadn't anticipated. Jake and his crew gave Marcus, and most other students, a wide berth. But more importantly, other kids began finding their own courage. Sarah, a quiet sophomore, stood up to girls who'd been spreading rumors about her. Ahmed, a freshman who'd been hiding his prayer times, began openly observing them in the designated quiet room. The theater kids stopped apologizing for taking up space in the hallways. Luna didn't set out to become a hero. She'd simply done what felt right in the moment. But she learned something important about courage, that it's contagious. When one person stands up, it gives others permission to do the same. Marcus became one of her closest friends, introducing her to his group of fellow misfits, the kids who didn't fit neatly into Roosevelt High's social categories but who possessed depths of loyalty and kindness that the popular crowd couldn't match. Through them, Luna learned that being the new girl didn't have to mean being alone. The challenges didn't end there. There were whispered conversations about the violent new girl and attempts by Jake's friends to paint Luna as the aggressor. There were awkward meetings with the principal, who struggled to discipline students for an incident that had been resolved without serious injury and had actually improved the school's climate. There were moments when Luna wondered if she'd made the right choice, if she should have just minded her own business like she had at so many other schools. But every time she saw Marcus laugh with genuine joy, every time she witnessed a younger student walk a little taller through the hallways, every time someone thanked her for showing them that standing up was possible, she knew she'd made the only choice she could live with. The most surprising change came in Jake himself. The humiliation of that day seemed to crack something open in him. Without his role as school tyrant to define him, he was forced to figure out who he actually was. It wasn't a quick transformation, there were setbacks and moments of regression, but slowly, carefully, he began the work of becoming someone better. He never became friends with Marcus or Luna, but he stopped being their enemy, and sometimes that's the most we can hope for. By the end of her first month at Roosevelt High, Luna had learned something profound about the nature of home. It wasn't a place you found, it was a place you created. Through acts of courage, kindness, and the willingness to stand up for what was right. Through choosing to be the person who intervenes rather than the person who walks away. Her father visited for Parents' Weekend, and Luna introduced him to her new friends with genuine pride. As they walked through the school together, she pointed out the spot in the cafeteria where everything had changed. "Are you proud of me?" she asked, suddenly needing to hear the answer. Her father stopped walking and looked at his daughter, really looked at her. He saw not just the girl who'd mastered complex martial arts techniques, but the young woman who'd learned when and how to use them. He saw someone who understood that true strength came not from the ability to hurt others, but from the choice to protect them. "Mija," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I have never been more proud of anyone in my entire life." As Luna walked through Roosevelt High's hallways now, she did so with the confidence of someone who knew exactly who she was and what she stood for. She'd learned that being the new girl didn't have to mean starting over from nothing, it could mean bringing everything you were to a new place and making it better. The story of Luna Rodriguez's first day became legend at Roosevelt High, passed down through classes and whispered in hallways. But the real story wasn't about martial arts or dramatic confrontations. It was about the choice we all face every day, to be bystanders to cruelty or to be guardians of kindness. To watch from the safety of the crowd or to step forward when someone needs defending. In the end, Luna learned that heroism isn't about being the strongest person in the room. It's about being the person willing to stand up when standing up matters most. And sometimes, one moment of courage can change everything, not just for the person you defend, but for everyone watching, waiting to see if standing up is possible. If Luna's story inspired you to think about your own moments of choice, we'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Have you ever had to decide between staying safe and standing up? What happened when you chose courage over comfort? Your stories matter, and sharing them helps others find their own strength. Please take a moment to like this video if it moved you, share it with someone who might need to hear Luna's message, and don't forget to subscribe to Heartfelt Tales. We're building a community of people who believe in the power of courage, kindness, and standing up for what's right. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest inspiring stories, and remember, you might be just one act of courage away from changing someone's entire world.